Hello everyone, this is Coach Sean, and we have finished reviewing the hitting video from early December, and we're now just putting together your hitting lessons. There's some things that are common amongst a lot of our hitters that the videotape is showing us, and I just wanted to start by reviewing some of these things so that everybody can become familiar with them, what they are, how they affect your swing, what you can do to correct it, practice drills, etc. What I'd like everyone to do after you read these things is stop your video, go online, go to our website, saintsbaseball.club. Once you're at the website, saintsbaseball.club, I would like you to go to the features page, and I'd like you to watch the following videos. The first one I would like you to watch is Fix Your Flat Swing, Master the Snap Drill. I believe this drill is essential in any hitter's swing. If you do not move your hands, turn the triangle, snap the bat rearward, and pull your hands through a swing, you're not going to have your best swing. You're not going to be able to attack the balls on the corners and things of that nature. A flat swing is going to have trouble hitting outside and inside pitches. What we are trying to build with our hitters is a complete hitter, somebody with no holes in their swing that can attack all the balls in the zone and drive the ball from gap to gap at your 18 to 22 degree upward plane, thusly making each hitter the best they can be. So again, if you do not snap your bat correctly, this drill is perfect for slowing it down, duplicating it, mimicking the process, and is something that everybody should be able to do or know about so that they can work on getting there in the future. So again, I'd like you to start by watching those two videos. I think 3 videos associated to that part of the drill. The second thing I'd like you to watch is casting your hands in the swing. It's the second video on the page. Casting your hands is something that most of our hitters are doing. A large number of them anyway are doing. And casting the bat, simply put, will flatten your swing. Okay, it's the incorrect use of your hands in the swing that flattens your plane of your bat, which is going to make you, again, have difficulty hitting inside and outside pitches. It's going to give you holes in your swing, and this is a great video series so that you can understand what it is, how you're doing it, and again, ways to fix it. So that's very important. Thirdly, loose hands drill. It's lower down on the page, and I have a feeling from watching these videos that not everybody's holding their bats correctly. The bat should be held very loosely, and every one of our players should investigate using a grip aid, whether it's pine tar or the tacky waxy substances, something of that nature. But if you look at a major league on deck circle, there's probably 4 or 5 grip aids that the batters are using every at bat before they go to bat in most cases. And on the Saints team, we've got literally 1 or 2 people using pine tar, and not on a regular basis. So again, I would like all the players to understand how to grip a bat, the best way to grip a bat, why they're gripping it that way, and how it contrasts with what they're doing. And I'd like them to try to mimic and copy the folks in these hand drills so that they can, again, feel the difference in the swing with loose hands. So we've got that video. We've got the Justin Turner's loose hands bat grip, which all that does is show his loose grip preload. Again, very important for the kids to get that, let it sink in, and see if they can change their grip to get their hands and wrists looser in the swing. So go ahead and go watch those and then come on back to your lesson. Okay, now that you've done that, let's talk a little bit about what we're trying to achieve here. In general, a hitter that is approaching 15 years old, or by the time he reaches 16, he should be very proficient at covering the zone, meaning having a swing that will produce a line drive anywhere from gap to gap at anywhere from 16 to 22 degree upward trajectory. A player should be able to hit a pitch in that direction that is anywhere in the zone. That is a batting practice or soft toss pitch or off a tee. Okay, yes, it's a different thing when you put a live pitcher in there throwing top speed for your age group, but by age 15, 16 at the latest, you should be very well accomplished with the quick short swing that covers the whole zone, that puts the ball into the right place. So what we're trying to do is build that with each player, and what we're seeing from just a few flaws, not a lot of stuff needs to be cleaned up with a lot of our hitters, but this snap drill and how you initiate the swing and casting the hands are the two biggest things we need to fix so that our kids can get on the trajectory of being able to hit a ball in the strike zone where they need and want to hit it. So our goal is trying to get you all in that direction. So that's what we're working on here. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So the first thing I want to show you here is this hitter performing the snap drill. And let's just roll it so you can see it. Okay, let's play it live. You see how he does it nice and slow, making sure he's keeping everything in its right position with the right sequence. And this drill right here, we're going to call the snap drill. And I believe every one of our hitters on our team needs to practice this a lot on a regular basis. Even after you master it, you need to keep doing it just to make sure it stays regular and an easy feeling for you. And let's take a look at some of the breakdown on this thing here. So what you're trying to achieve is more of a horizontal or downward swing. As you can see at the point of contact, so to speak, the angle of his bat. Okay. That angle right there is what you're trying to achieve on most pitches, not an outside and high pitch, for example, but for a lot of the pitches on the plate, that's the angle you're trying to achieve, okay? So, of course, he did that and achieved that angle by starting with a good triangle with this 90 degrees. He's got a proper hand grip. Okay, look at that really close. And as you move it forward here, he's snapping the bat rearward. Snapping the bat rearward. And one important thing in being able to do that, which is also part of the snap drill teachings, is this right here. The right forearm for a right-hander, left forearm for a left-hander. This degree should always be close to 90 degrees at all times until you get into the power V, or the tail end of your swing. So as you watch that angle through the swing, you can see he's kept it more or less at contact right there. Okay? So the relationship of the forearm to the bat should always be 90 degrees. When you start the swing, the first movement here, there's his go right there. His triangle starts to turn, his bat comes rearward, his forearm and bat are at 90 degrees, and he simply maintains that posture through the swing. And you can see there he really starts to get his left elbow moving forward and around and up, and starts plunging his left shoulder rearward. Okay? So as you watch this here, see how far that left shoulder or left elbow is going to maintain his 90 degrees. Now he's essentially turned his triangle all the way, and it's facing the pitcher. Okay? If you do not, which a lot of our hitters don't, if you do not turn that elbow up and out, that elbow will stop right where it's at. Okay? If your elbow stops in here, which a lot of our players' elbows do, if you're stopping here, the only place for the arms and hands to then go, the forearms and the hands, is out and around that elbow. Okay? So these are then going to come outward. Okay? That would be his arm extended right there, so to speak. If he stops the elbow, this hand has nowhere to go but out and around the elbow. Okay? Which will make you cast your bat, which will give you a flatter swing plane and make it tough to reach inside pitches and outside pitches on a regular basis. So again, this snap drill is something everybody should grab a wiffle ball bat, standing in front of a mirror, practice this methodically, slowly, until you get it and it's comfortable. And once it's comfortable, you should continue to do it on a regular basis. Okay? So let's flip this for our left-handers. Let them take a look. Okay, this drill is real easy to practice as well. What you do is you get in the batter's box with a tee, you get your feet lined up, you take and you measure the distance from the hands to the sweet spot of your bat, and you get in this position, put the bat near the ball, you recreate this whole position right here, and then you simply back it up to your load and you slowly proceed between the 2 points until you can do it quickly and correctly. Okay, so I want everybody to work on that. I want you to do it at home. I want you to do it in the cages, at practice. I really want everybody to concentrate on gaining what it feels like to start your swing like this. Very important. Okay, here's another version of the snap drill. It should also be practiced with one hand. This is the portion of the drill where you're concentrating on a 90-degree or a perpendicular angle, 90 degrees from the bat to your left elbow or right, your forearm or your right forearm if you're right-handed. Let's watch this gentleman demonstrate the drill. So along with the other version of this, everybody should practice this on a regular basis. You should get it to feel as comfortable as possible, and some of the things to remind you of here is you can see how the elbow and everything starts to slot and everything works together simultaneously. The same thing with the two-hand snap drill, okay? So now we've got this flipped for right-handed players to see what it looks like. Okay, so again, the ability to do this and master these drills and get a good feel for handling the bat like these instructors are. Again, bat speed controls how far and hard we hit the ball. So you want to gain as much bat speed as possible, and you can see the whip from laying it down like this is how you're going to gain more bat speed, okay? That's how early bat speed is gained. The second thing it's going to do for you, it's going to get the bat on the right path, which is going to help you hit more balls where you want to hit them. So keep all that in mind as you're practicing this drill. And the third way to practice the snap drill is with a PVC pipe. Okay, and here is the third way to practice the snap drill, and this is with the PVC pipe that was provided to you by Chris, or this could be with a broomstick, something of that nature. And let's just watch this gentleman. You can see how he moves everything simultaneously. Everything's firing at once. The snapping of the hands, the slotting of the right elbow, the upward movement of the left shoulder and elbow to turn the triangle, and bam. Okay, now again, this is exaggerated. You're not going to exactly swing this way every time, but it does show, and by exaggerating, get everything moving in the right direction on the right path. So let's flip it for our left-handers. Okay, so there are the 3 ways to practice the snap drill, and I highly suggest everybody masters these drills. Get them looking just the way these instructors do in the video. Okay? So here we have Justin Turner loaded in here, and I want to take a quick look at the ending of his swing so that we have contrast for later when we get into the individual videos. But you can see he's 3/4 of the way through his swing here, and if we draw a line right here, this line indicates what a lot of our players are doing that are casting their hands. If you cast your hands, what that's going to do, it's going to stop your elbows in this area right here of the swing. It's not going to allow you to get to this position. Okay? So again, take a quick look at that and then parlay that into your swing and see what the differences are. But if you do stop your elbows and cast the bat, that's what's going to give you the rotational, flatter swing. So here is Aaron Judge, and let's look at his full swing. Again, look at the same points. As he's 3/4 of the way through his swing here, before contact. You'll see that he maintains his 90-degree relationship with his elbows and triangle. You'll see here that his elbow is way up by his shoulder. His shoulder is moving rearward. And it appears he's got a ball on a pretty good trajectory, and with his bat speed, I'm assuming that's a home run or close to it, right there. He's got a perpendicular relationship here with the bat and the flight of the ball. He pulled his hands inside nicely, and he got some nice results on this swing. So if we look at the front of the swing here, if you look at the hands, and the elbows, you will see that all that stuff moves simultaneously. You will also see his left elbow simply goes upward, like so. So let's go ahead and get into the individual lessons, and we'll discuss some of this stuff in further depth as we have you on the screen here. Okay, Sawyer, here is the start of your lesson. I want you to know that at the end of this, I'm going to put your hitting tape and your pitching tape in there, so I want you to tune into your hitting tape and watch where you're hitting the balls based on the location over the plate, in contrast to the direction you're hitting them and the trajectory you're hitting them and all that stuff. I just want you to pay attention to your consistency and your contact. We are going to, when we delve into this, we're going to get into your, we're first going to look at your bottom half, your legs, your leg kick, your, how your hips work, the position of your feet and knees and all that stuff, how that all works. We're going to do some comparisons. But before I do that, I want you to go to YouTube, and in the search bar, I want you to watch two videos. The first one is, and type this into the search bar, how to be more athletic hitting, Matt Antonelli. I want you to watch that video, and he discusses how to get the whole body into a good preload stance. So I really want you to visit that. I think there's some improvement we can make in your lower half there. I think your upper half's okay. I'll look at it from a different angle. We'll look at that further on down the line here. But I want you to watch that video. I want you to then watch the hover drill. So type in the hover drill, Matt Antonelli in the search bar and watch that film. I think we can get a lot more out of your bottom half. There's a couple of, 2 or 3 different things that you should practice dry at home. And then when we go into the cages, we can see whether you like a shorter or a longer leg kick. But the way you gather your mass to center and things of that nature, and how you come down and get lower and get more torque with your lower half, is definitely something we can improve on. So watch those two videos so as we progress here, you'll have a better understanding of what we're talking about. Okay, so watch those videos right now, then come back. I'm going to put your action plan up here. Okay, so here is your action plan. You need an action plan to help guide your baseball development. You need to know what you're concentrating on every day, every week, every month, every season, every year. If you have a desire to play competitive high school baseball, you're along the way getting there, you're going to need to know what you need to do to improve yourself to do so. And here's the action plan that I have set forth for you for some of the things that on a more immediate basis you should be doing, and as you gain experience in these and get better at these things, we'll change that action plan. But as far as right now, I think these are some of the things that you should be concentrating on. The first thing that I would like to visit is the fact that we've never really discussed a whole lot other than some minor details, like where you stand in the box and things of that nature. We've never really discussed in detail your lower half, your legs and everything of that nature in the swing. I don't have too many qualms with what you're doing right now. I just think that you can get more out of it. So if you study those, hopefully you've studied those 2 videos that I just had up there. And when we get into the next portion of this lesson, we're going to start with the lower half of your swing. So I'd like that for you to be a priority. I'd like you to study those things, try them dry at home, try to get comfortable with several different leg kicks, and then when we get back to work on the 6th at Diamond Sports, we can practice those things in the cage and just see what feels better for you. I would like you to start highly concentrating on your consistency of contact. We've talked about this, and I think it's a goal, but that's how it starts, when in practice, when your goal is to become a more consistent hitter in live games. that starts with certain practice routines and how you go about practicing. So I really want you to keep your eye on the prize on that topic when you're hitting in the cages and practicing off the tee, soft toss, front toss, live pitching, whatever it might be. Just let's make that a priority for you. I would really like to, and I'm going to show you this drill here or explain it to you and show you in person, but I want you to start practicing rolling to the ball. So what I call rolling to the ball drill, and I'll show you, but that's where you put the tee in different locations and just roll to the ball, then roll to contact, and it's kind of a progressive kind of a drill. So I really want you to add that to your practice routine now that you've got a tee and a net and you can do it anytime you want at home. I don't know if you've seen it. I think I've shown it to you. I think you've done it once or twice, but I want you to start doing it regularly. Whenever you have swinging sessions at home or at Diamond Sports, when it doesn't conflict with topical issues that we're coaching. I want you to be practicing this. And then lastly, exercise. And we've talked about it, and you do some things. I just want you to find a routine that you're able to do consistently. So you are a 14-year-old boy. You don't need to be training for a triathlon. You don't need to be training for a 160-game Major League Baseball season. But at 14, you should be getting into some sort of regular workout that, is good for multiple points of your body, not just one thing or the other. The roll weight, you should be doing some running, any other, weights you can do, add that into the routine. Set a bat on the ground and jump over the bat back and forth, sideways and front to back, things of that nature. It's time to be a little bit more consistent with that stuff so that you can see growth in that area. So that's highly important at this point in your baseball development to start doing that stuff regularly. You don't just do it 1 week and then take 2 weeks off. That's essentially useless to you and a waste of time. Exercises should be done somewhat regularly to make gains in that department. So I do want to put that on your action plan. And with that said, let's jump into your lesson, and we're going to start with the lower half. Okay, so I'm just going to roll your swing here from ready to load to turn the triangle and pull to your follow through, and let you just watch your bottom half the whole way through. Just more or less concentrate on your bottom half here. Do pay attention to what moves in conjunction and when to your upper body, of course. Okay, so now you have tape of yourself. You can just play that in slow-mo, see what you're currently doing, and let's now dissect this a little bit and bring up some other players here. Okay, so Your stance right here is not bad. You can see Mitch Haniger's. I think his legs are flexed down or bent just a hair more. And it's not that you want to just squat down to load or to get in your ready position, but you know what you don't want to do, which you're not doing, is you don't flex your knees out this direction. You want them flexed inward toward the pitcher. So right there, you're good. I think you could be down a little bit more, bent just a hair more there. But we'll look at some other players do and how they look, and those videos will show you and tell you a lot of different things that you can then reevaluate where you're at in your ready position there. But, you know, here's Mitch Haniger. You know, you can see how he looks here, and it's, you know, similar positions. Okay, so let's look at the left leg, the leg kick between you and Mitch Haniger here. If we roll yours, you can see you lift it up maybe 6 inches, give or take. Okay, so you just come straight up. Okay, and then here's Mitch Haniger. Much like a pitcher's leg kick, he's taking his left knee to his right shoulder and then cocking the hip. You can see that hip movement right there, okay? So that is what we're going to call the load and gather. You're loading your hip and gathering your center mass. You're gathering your weight to a center mass. If you are going to explode outward in a powerful manner, you are going to explode from your center mass. You want everything that's going to go outward to gather and load at the center of your mass, okay? So he's taking his left knee to his right shoulder and he stops right around the belt buckle there, okay? Some players do it less and some players go even higher, okay? But what he's not doing is coming straight up and keeping his knee outside of his body, okay? He's bringing it to his center, to his belt buckle, okay? Okay? So once your knee is as high as you get it, you then set it down. There's your toe touch right there, okay? Okay? So again, Mitch comes on a straight line up and backwards to his belt buckle, and then again on a straight line, he goes down and out, okay? Down and out. Okay, so just in pure movement, you can see the difference. He's coming back, loading the hip. He is gathering a center mass. And the loading of the hip and the gathering of the center mass, I'm going to talk about that right now and discuss the importance of that. So as you can see, how he cocks and loads the hip there, that movement right there, okay? And this was discussed in the hover drill that you watched. But here's the importance of getting to this position. You know, yes, it's going to make you more powerful, and we'll discuss that after this topic, but at this point in time, he's still gathering information and data for his pitch analysis so he can determine whether he's going to swing at it or not, and if he's going to swing at it, where he's going to swing, okay, where his direct path with his hands to the ball is going to go. That's what he's computing right now. But if he decides to swing, if he makes a swing decision, if he's yes right here, then he's going to launch and he's going to go. But if when he launches and goes, he finds out something different, like it's an off-speed pitch, it's a curveball, it's a 6-12 breaker, or it's a changeup, or whatever the case may be, he's now got a built-in mechanism to delay his swing without affecting his load. He stays loaded, and simply all he has to do is hold this pose and fall forward a little bit before he releases the leg and unloads the upper hands, okay? So if you were more out in front of yourself with this leg, see how the knee is further out in front of you there, it's hard to, it makes it harder to stay gathered and just drop down and keep everything loaded. So the benefit to what one of the benefits to what Mitch is doing here is right now he could just fall forward, and these are split seconds, right, between a fastball and a curveball. We're not talking he's got to hold this position for 3 minutes or 3 seconds. We're talking 0.2 seconds would be the difference between, you know, having to stall to save your timing and to keep your load with your hands and your upper body. So I want to point out that's one of the benefits to doing that. So just put that in your knowledge base as you're practicing, you know, different kinds of swings. But that's one of the advantages to that swing right there. It's kind of like the Gatorade bottle drill we did, where you put it out in front of the plate and you pretend that you have to stall your swing because you misread the pitch or you're early for whatever reasons, and then you keep your hands loaded. That's going to help you do that. So that'll help put that drill that we've done in better perspective for you. But you can just see the hip action there. It's kind of like it's really just like your pitching load that we practice. You know, you cock the hips out and you go to the plate with your left rear pant pocket first. It's a similar concept. You really don't want to get that closed off, but you kind of want to get that feel. So that's a major benefit to what he's doing in his stance, okay? So the next contrast I want to point out in the differences in your swing and how his is probably a little bit more beneficial to his swing and the power he generates. But if you look at your leg, you bring it straight up and you circle it up and then down. But right there, you're starting to open it quite a bit. You can see when you touch down, you're quite a ways open, okay? When Mitch touches down with the left foot, he's still a little bit more closed off, and he starts his twist a little bit right before touchdown, but he touches down a little bit more closed off, which now helps him because he has more room to rotate. He's not as open, okay? So look at those differences there and keep all of that in mind. But I'd like to see you land that left foot just a little bit more closed off. And this is kind of why. I'm going to show you the theory of the leg kick and what he's doing and how all this helps him right here. And here you go. So what's another real benefit to this type of a leg kick, and this is what most MLB players leg kick, and this is a extremely important factor in their leg kick, but the reason his leg comes up and back is so it can go down and out, and he drives his weight into his left foot downward, then he twists and torques, and he redistributes his energy towards the pitcher, towards the ball, okay? So the more upward movement he gets before he comes down, the force you're generating into the ground is going to be greater. Thusly, the force generated towards the pitch is going to be greater, okay? You're just transferring or redirecting that energy out to the pitch. So that's an important factor as well in the leg kick. The timing mechanism and the force generation to assist your upper body in the swing, very important points in the swing. So as you can see, yours is, it's doing that a little bit, but not to the degree of that the elite hitters are doing it. So that's what I want to investigate with you and have you gain all the knowledge, watch all the hitters you can, and come up with some different styles that you want to try, practice them, and then we'll get into the cages and see what works better for you. Okay. Okay, you can see here that the angle between his right shin and the ground is 9 degrees. Okay, depending on how you draw the line, it could be 12 degrees. But he's in that range. That's my point. So you can see how low he gets, how much torque he creates, how much push he gets. Okay, so as you're coming down with your energy into the red box, it then starts to twist, and the right leg kind of pushes all that forward too. So that's a very important note to make in the difference of what you got going on. If we take a look at yours, you're roughly at 41 degrees, okay? So there's obviously a huge difference in those numbers. So that's something you've got to download into your computer and figure out how we can change things around a little bit to get you more like Mitch. Okay, so if you had a refrigerator in front of you and somebody told you to push it to the pitcher, to effectively do that, where are you going to push? Okay? Where are you going to get the most leverage and power in pushing that refrigerator? Are you going to push the top of it, the middle of it, or towards the bottom of it? Okay? So naturally, you're going to push towards the bottom. Right now, you're pushing towards the X. Okay? you're pushing higher up on the refrigerator, okay? Mitch Haniger is pushing down here, okay? That's where he's pushing. So just a little illustration to help you understand torque-wise and you know, what you got going on, okay? And if you look at the distance between his knees and your knees, obviously there's a gap between his, so there's a difference in the swing there too. So you can just tell he's getting more out of his lower body, more torque, more leverage, all of the above. Uh, so, you know, I want to point out these differences. I want you to drink them in, put them in the memory banks, and devise a new plan for yourself going forward. Okay, so if we draw a line through his belt buckle when he's got his leg kick and his knee up and rearward, you can see how far downward his body moves, okay? So there to there. So if you've ever heard a coach tell you to come down at the ball, this is what they mean. I honestly don't remember if we discussed this topic ever. It's not something that you have to do to be an elite hitter. Again, there's other ways to do it. I'm going to show you some differences. For example, Nelson Cruz, who does not have a leg kick in his swing, he still comes down a little bit, maybe not as much as Mitch, but he starts up and comes down. You can see how he does it. You'll see his legs. He kind of extends a little bit here and there, but the importance of this is that it gets you downward force into the ground to redirect towards the pitch and to help your upper body. So I just want to note this to you as you're practicing it to get this feel when you're doing a bigger leg kick. So it's pretty obvious right there that it's an up to down movement of, I don't know, 6 inches, give or take. Okay. So as you can see, you do have a little bit of downward movement there. From there to there. But not as much as Mitch does because you're not dropping down as hard and getting the angle in this leg the same and stepping out further with the left foot. And again, we don't want to get the torso moving a long way forward in the swing. That should be very short or minimal. You kind of just want to twist and rotate the torso in the swing, kind of like Aaron Judge does. So we'll show you Aaron's leg kick as well. But that downward movement and that torque and those angles are very important to build into there without creating too much movement forward with the torso. You don't want to lunge at the ball with your body. So that is, okay, so here you are with Justin Turner. He has probably one of the biggest leg kicks you're going to find. There might be some more, but we'll just show you him. You can see how high it goes there. Camera's a little lower, so it might be a similar height as Mitch Haniger, but it does look a little bit higher. So he's roughly 13 degrees there. Got a little space in between the knees. So just another view of what another elite hitter's doing. So here's Nelson Cruz. So he goes from behind him to in and sets down, and the pitcher hasn't released the ball there yet. So it's not really a leg kick. He's just opening himself up for whatever reasons. It's probably a timing mechanism, maybe a little bit of vision, kind of a perceived vision benefit. So, but he sets down, so he doesn't really leg kick. He's more like Albert Pujols. And right here, he just, you can see the way he twists and torques, and he still comes down. He gets that travel downward, like he's coming at the ball. You can see, look at that. Down into the ball with the whole body, okay? So, you know, at some point you got to stop moving downward and start rotating the bat and everything, but just in concept, look how many hitters have that. You know, most hitters, I think, do that. You don't want to get linear. You don't want all your movement to come here. Okay, again, you want your body and your leg kick to drive you into the ground and then redirect out to the ball. And the timing of that all has to happen in sequence and in the right order and at the right time. Otherwise, it affects your turn on the ball, in which it's going to affect your contact and how flat your bat may be. So when you stop and you get pushing back with your left foot, that's when you crank the body. But you know, I just want you to see all this, so as you're building a leg kick, you can see what your options are. But I don't know if I've shown it yet. I'm gonna show you this drill here, right here. Let's do this. Okay, so here is a video of J.D. Martinez taking video of himself. J.D. Martinez records his swings daily in the batting cage, on the tee, soft toss. He records every swing every day, and at the end of the day, he now has the film and he can review himself to make sure he doesn't regress at anything, if there's anything he needs to change or improve. That's how tuned into his mechanics and practice he is. So that's the first thing to point out about this video, and I know that you benefit greatly from watching tape of yourself, especially pitching, but you know, I just want you to know this is happening. This is happening in the world of baseball. So that's one thing. But look at this drill he's doing. He does not move his feet. He does not leg kick. And he does, in live games, leg kick. But this is just a practice routine to help you get as much power and drive and twist and torque from your body that you can without using your feet. It helps the rest of your body do the right things to experience maximum bat speed from, you know, out without using his legs. As we can see from your swing, you're not getting the most out of your legs. Okay, so if you do this drill, it helps everything else fall in line with a good leg kick and a good lower half. But anyway, this is a drill I want you to, as we mentioned earlier, incorporate into your practice routine, and this is it. I just wanted to show you it now, I guess, since we're dealing with this. But if you do this drill, you know, 50 times a day, you know, whatever the case may be, you know, and then you go into experiment with leg kicks, then you'll have a better idea, you know, of whether short or long leg kicks works for you. But you know, you got to try nothing and train your body to move everything like Nelson Cruz does, right? So you've got to practice the short and then practice the long, and so this is one side of that. So I want you to start doing that as you're, you know, this coincides with finding a leg kick, this drill right here. It also helps for a lot of different things. You should do it on a regular basis, but I want to show you that. And here's Manny Ramirez doing the 10-toe trigger drill. And you've done this before. I just want to show it to you again. I'd like you to add this to your routine with regularity. You know, whether you're doing 10 to 20 of these every time you swing a bat, or, you know, 40 to 50 of them once a week around other stuff. You know, it's in some manner, you know, make it regularly, at least weekly, in your practice routine. But, you know, again, this is giving you that tension and the stretch between the left hip and the right shoulder. But it also helps you find maximum power without leg kicking, so that when you get to the point where you're trying different leg kicks, you'll at least have the short side that you practice and your body's comfortable with, and then it's just then practice the long ones and then go from there. You know, see what works best for you after that. But when you're doing this drill, you want to at least hit it, you know, pretend you're hitting it at the pitcher's head, up the middle. If you can do this drill and get more flexibility in the hands and the wrists and hit it further to the right side, you know, practice that. But those are the two drills that we had on your action plan there that I really want you to start doing on a regular basis. So one thing that we really need to start concentrating on, you now that, you know, your swing's fairly straight, is your time to impact. We need to start measuring that, seeing where you're at, and then doing drills and things to improve that, as well as roll to the ball drills. So, you know, in practice, we'll talk about that stuff and we'll drill down further on what your workout routine should be. But I just want you to see this stuff so that you're able to start practicing this stuff and knowing what's going on and how to do it. Okay. Okay, and of course we haven't studied leg kicks if we haven't covered Albert Pujols. He is the king of staying quiet in the swing and minimal movement in a swing. There's no rearward, there's no forward movement of the torso. The head doesn't get out of the circle. So let's just take a look at him so you have a vision of him and what he's all about. Okay, as we roll him through his swing, his torso does not get outside of those lines. His head does not get outside of that circle. Okay, he does not pick up his left leg. He picks up his left heel. He puts his left heel down, starts to twist and torque, and then kills the ball. Okay? You can see his right shin to the ground is a 13-degree angle. So, you know, he's got a textbook swing. He generates as much power as anybody in the game has ever generated when he was young and healthy. Before Father Time caught up to him, he was, you know, one of the best baseball players to ever live. Just crushed the ball, hit for average, power, clutch hitter, the whole 9 yards. You know, he was mentally strong, physically strong. So, and he did all that without a leg kick. So just remember, that's both sides of the fence now. You know, you got the one extreme to the high leg kick, the other extreme. You know, let's take a look at Aaron Judge. He's got a small one. He does come back, but he comes back and up and down and out still, just not as far. But he doesn't go straight up and round and come out and down. That's that's the important thing is you know, the backing up. That way when you get going forward, you're going into the ground. And if you come back, that's how you gather and load that hip. If you're not coming backwards with it, then that hip is going to remain unloaded because your knee's out in front of that hip. Okay? Versus getting that knee inward a little bit, like so. If you bring the knee inward, then that's going to load that hip, and then you can fall without unloading your upper half easier. So as well as it gains power. It gains more energy and more power that way too. So anyway, that's enough on the leg kick. Let's get into your load and look at some other portions of your swing here. Okay, so here you are mocked up with Ronnie, and I just want to visit really quickly your load position. So when you're at full load, in the next sequence in the swing is snapping and initiating the swing. So load is right before that. I really like your load position. I like Ronnie's load position. And if we go from ready to load, you can see that what you guys are doing is essentially just moving the 90 into the load. Okay, so you're not arm barring, being that the turning of the 90 is so important in the swing. That's why I'm a fan of loading the 90 and not messing with the 90 by arm barring or any other movements. So I like your load. What I would tell you, though, is watch other hitters, watch elite hitters, watch major league hitters, you know, get an idea what everybody's doing just so you have a knowledge base of what other options and styles are, because you just don't know as you grow, you know, maybe you're going to have longer arms, shorter arms, and things change depending on how big you kids get. You know, are you going to be a 6'3" guy? Are you going to be a 5'9" guy? You know, so just pay attention to other styles so that later in your career, if something needs to change or something else feels better, that you're always aware of what people are doing. Okay? But again, I do like loading the 90 and not changing the relationship of the elbows and hands and everything and the bend in the arms. So I like what you're doing. The last thing I'm going to say there is maybe practice, you know, getting to your full load and then stopping and just holding that position and swinging from that position. Just try that, you know, do that 50 times a week, or, you know, if you're having 3 batting sessions at home a week, you know, do it, you know, 2 sessions of 40 or something, you know, just, that's a good practice routine. It teaches your body to get to that position, but it also teaches you to gather power from minimal movement, like an Albert Pujols. So I would just add that to your practice routine. You know, one of the biggest things as you get past your swing mechanics and you get into the timing of the pitcher and efficiency of contact and all this stuff, again, time to impact's a big thing. And if you can launch and snap and trigger and initiate your swing from an already loaded still position, you know, that might not be how you do it in a game, but that's a great practice drill to help your time to impact. So it's definitely a muscle memory that is really good to load into your body and brain. So again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here on your load position. I think it's pretty good, but I do want you to be aware of everything that's going on out there and in the major leagues and things of that nature. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about your trigger, your launch, your initiation of the bat into the swing, what you do with your hands, elbows, 90. So here you are, loaded. Okay, and then your first movement from there is bringing the bat rearward. So that's all looking pretty good. You can see you've got a decent amount of bat leg, which is as you pull the hands forward across your chest, down the batter's box line that's in front of you that runs parallel with the side of the plate. That's where you're picking up your most the most bat speed right there as you turn the corner. And just so that we're on the same page, the turning the corners when you come around your shoulder and out. That's nice. And out this way with your hands towards the ball. I don't know if we've talked much about the laser drill, but it's at this point in the pull phase where you want to dissect the ball with the knob of your bat, the laser that comes off the knob of your bat. That's kind of just a feel thing, a mental vision that you have in your swing. It kind of correlates with a feel, and that's something you should always try to do on every pitch or when the ball's on the tee, is dissect the ball with the laser coming off the end of your knob. But when you start to pull, your bat's properly legged to give you early bat speed, and you can see the blur in your bat. You get enough vertical trajectory or a vertical plane on the bat so that you, as often as you can, have a perpendicular relationship to the ball and the bat. So you do that well because of the way you launch. You've done really good at learning the snap drill. We introduced you to this batting style at the beginning of last year, and at this point in time you just need to keep practicing the snap drill and all this stuff and know where you stand on all this stuff and just keep improving and sharpening and honing that skill. Okay, so I like everything that's happening there. You're clearing the left elbow, pulling the bat. But I I like your launch. Again, just be aware of what other people are doing, what they look like when they launch. So I really like how you're moving forward with the front half and still coiling the rear half. You're gaining really good stretch in between the left hip and the right rear elbow slash and the right shoulder. Okay, so I like the sequence and how all that's moving. So I would like you to incorporate rolling to the ball in all phases of the zone. I would like you to incorporate this to a regular part of your practice routine. And rolling to the ball is right from here to here. I want you to practice by putting a ball on the tee in where all the circles are, and roll to the ball 20 times in each position without contact. And then I want you to roll to the ball 20 times in each position and make contact. And this is going to help you with muscle memory and attacking every pitch in the zone in the right direction. Again, in a game and live pitching, that's a little bit more difficult to do, but if you don't practice it, you're not going to have that muscle memory to be able to do it. So again, 20 times each position on a tee with no contact. Just bring the bat to the contact point and stop it. And then 20 times in each position with contact. Okay, so your load and triggers is pretty good. Now you just need to practice it a zillion times directionally to each spot in the zone to further embed that in your muscle memory. So I want that added to your practice routine. Okay. And then look at your lower half here. I just want you to compare that to some other hitters. Again, I think we can get that more athletic, change the leg kick. If we look at your head movement and your torso movement here, you come back a hair, but once that foot hits down, you're kind of stabilizing the torso there and just rotating it, turning it. So there's not excessive movement there, but as you practice and you get older and stronger and things of that nature, you know, just keep an eye on what you're doing there. We've already seen what Albert Pujols does. Elite hitters do move, as I've been mentioning this on videos, but you always want to be cognizant of where you're at and maybe practice less movement and maintaining the same amount of torque and power and twist. So just be aware of that, and maybe, you know, that's why I'm thinking if you practice from a fully loaded position, stop, and then swing, that's how you improve staying quiet and things of that nature. But again, you're not excessively moving this way, that way, or anything of that nature. I don't think what you're doing right now is a problem. I just want you to be aware of what you are doing and what other people are doing. Okay? Okay. You can see you're direct to the ball, which is what you have to be to attack it and get consistency and contact and hit the ball flush. You have to send your hands straight at the ball. So I wouldn't change anything there. So if you look at Aaron Judge here, it's a very similar looking portion of your swing right there. Anytime you're wondering about your mechanics anywhere in the swing, you should pop this video in and take a look at Aaron. So after the pull phase is the extension and the power V phase of the swing. You can see here that you've gotten the power V down pretty good. We again visited that and introduced that to you at the beginning of last year as well. As we know, you're not going to get maximum bat speed without maximum and proper extension. So as you swing in the cages, and especially as you do the roll to the ball drill that we just visited a few minutes ago, you want to make sure you're getting proper extension in all those phases. It'll look different depending on where the pitch is and the pitch location, but keep a really close eye on that as you move ahead. Continue doing that. And then your final extension, I don't think this is something we've talked about in depth here, but just as a matter of feel, you always want to get that left shoulder as back far as you can. You kind of want to get the feeling where you've gone so far back that you're falling off a cliff backwards. You can see Aaron's just got a little bit more in that phase, but he's holding onto the bat with two hands. That's also sending him back there a little bit further. But of course, the further you get back there, that leaves room up here for the extension. So just keep in mind, you want to make sure you're getting back there far enough, especially in practice. If you just practice it, slowly and, nice easy swing, and getting that extension, it kind of builds it into your muscle memory. So you're doing it every time when you swing live. But, you're not in a bad position there. You're just a hair more upright than him. So again, I think once you find a leg kick and you get more thrust and power into your swing from that leg kick, that's going to help adjust that a little bit as well. But just keep in mind, a lot of power hitters, they do get there as far back as Aaron Judge does, some even further. If you look at Mitch Haniger, he really torques that body and gets back there. So, just add this to your knowledge base about your swing and manage it as you can, going forward. Okay. So this is just a little informational video with the hitting instructor talking about it. Again, I like your pull phase. This is discussing how you use the hands in the swing after the hands turn the corner of the shoulder, but I'm going to attach this full clip to your hitting lesson so you can watch it, just so you can see it from this angle and further reinforce it in your memory bank on how it's working. So I want you to watch this. I'll attach it to your swing there, and then we'll take a look at some other views of your swing.
Hey there, Ron Sullivan, your online hitting consultant. Aaron Judge last night proved that the hands matter in a 500-foot home run. Man, this discussion makes people nervous, and it because of all the new teaching out. That's Josh Donaldson interview where he says, "I don't feel my hands." And then in 1975, guys are being told to slap balls on the ground with their hands and so forth. In my experience, right, I had a very rough time initially when I was teaching kids using video. Because I was trying to use the same methods that the guys that were using video were talking about, and I had some great results. But one of the things that I've struggled with players is this phase of the swing. No matter what, obviously, a better understanding of how the body's turn works and the connected forces that work together definitely help make improvements in players. I saw dramatic improvements that were different than an old method that I might have used, right? But what I kept struggling with was this phase of the swing because I was telling players that the body's turn was what was going to dictate, not their hands or anything like that. I realized I was missing something all along. I started focusing a lot on the top hand arm and what was happening with young players and what was happening with players at this level as they drop into their weight shift. All these guys, almost all, you see back here, his back elbow is still back, right? Still back behind his hands, right? So that he can get to the inside really well. Right? So you cannot hit this position, and this is what I ultimately came up with. And first off, let me say this is that, Jake Epstein termed this position as the $1 million position. That basically the hands being in front of the armpit in this turn, he said it was extremely important, and I support that completely because this is exactly the things that I was seeing with young players is that their body was turning and the hands were chasing, right? The barrel cannot chase the turn. And so this is a great example right here. Now, again, this was a 500-foot home run. And if you notice his chest in relationship to the knob of the bat in his hands, you could almost say that his hands are already in the middle of his chest here, right? And it's almost impossible, especially with the reinforced idea of the hands don't matter movement that's happening, especially when you're teaching young players, it's impossible for them to hit this position, right? If they don't understand how to use their hands in the unload portion of the swing. It's so important that they get out of this zone clean, right? In order to get to that spot. Notice the difference or the space between the elbows here, right? Kids don't get here not because they're trying to use their hands, it's because they don't understand how to unload their hands correctly. So I had and I appreciated the comment, but somebody commented the other day about how the difference between a linear and a rotational swing is the linear kids will have their elbows closer together, rotational guys will have their elbows apart. And I think that you'll see elbows apart in a well-defined swing, in a swing that's good mechanically. But I don't think that really is a defining characteristic of linear and rotational. I think what that is a result. Linear is a player that doesn't understand how to, or the elbows coming together is a player that does not understand how to get out of this phase correctly. And in my experience, I do about 1,000 hours of private lessons a year here in Hazlet, Texas, and I do online academy stuff. What fixes this a player's sequence problem is when you throw out the idea that the body is going to drag the barrel around. And so what you'll find out when you start talking to players about their hands in this phase of the swing, right? You won't see them hitting balls on the ground at second base. What you'll see is, and I hope this is very clear today, that if I can get the knob of the bat, right? If I can get the knob of the bat to get into a position where now my barrel is going to be behind my I'm sorry, that my body is going to be behind the barrel, then the rotation of my body is going to help. If the knob of the bat is chasing the rotation of my body, which is exactly what a lot of guys are teaching these days, right? That the hands don't matter, that the hands are an extension of the body. Just turn those shoulders, man, and you're gonna clobber the ball. You cannot hit that position right there by turning your shoulders, and the hands are just following that turn.
So here is a down the line view or a picture view, and this is what Sawyer looks like as a left-hander. If you want to tinker with switch hitting, this is what you can look at. Okay. So concentrating on this view, you know, if you're going to have a vertical swing, it's going to help you with those low inside pitches. You know, being that close to the plate, I don't know. I mean, it's probably going to help you with the outside pitches. It might hurt you with a high inside pitch. I don't know precisely. I'd have to watch some more films of pitches in that location. But I think just by seeing how elite hitters do it, not many guys are that close to the plate. Again, you're 5'7", 5'8" now. You know, you might become, you might grow to 6'1" to 6'4", you know, somewhere in that range. So getting off the plate when you get bigger and your arms and everything get longer, it's probably something we're going to want to do. You might want to practice the rolling to the ball drill that we discussed a few seconds ago from different positions and see what's comfortable and go from there. Okay, but that's just one thing that comes to mind, how close you are to the plate. We need to investigate that. I like the way you close off. You can see the angle of your shoulders there. You're not closed off too far or too little. I like the way that you, when you load, you pull the bow and arrow back with your right elbow. So that's all good. Again, I think we can visit some improvement in your lower half and overall athleticism in your stance. And that's why I had you watch those videos, but you know, we can tweak with that stuff as we move forward. Okay, we can see the kite tail on your hands. We can tell that you're not becoming too rotational there because of the line of your hands. Okay, on an outside pitch, your hands are going to move that way. Okay, so this is an inside pitch. That's why it's so straight and downward there with that initial kite tail movement on the hands. All that looks good to me, but here's the point I want to make after watching all your video. You know, on this day, and this time, if you watch all your video, your consistency of contact was off. It wasn't as good as it should be. And that's why I want to get into practicing the rolling to the ball drill in all locations thoroughly. That's why I want you to get to the load position, hold it, stay still, and then snap and launch, because that's going to give you some more consistency. And then overall strength, I want you to do the roll weight and your other exercises as you can to get better with your consistency of contact. But I know that for the most part, you are pretty good at going directionally at the ball with your hands, because your foul balls are different than somebody that's more rotational. Your foul balls will, you know, foul off this way or that way. You're not beating your foul balls into the ground or straight up. Okay, so it's really just a matter of sticking with what you're doing, but improving it and getting stronger, and having a, you know, having that game plan in your head of contacting the ball correctly and flushly every time. Anytime the ball is in the strike zone, you want to, that's very, very critical. You just want to make sure you get flush contact every time. And that's how you improve it against live pitching, is you start it slow off the tee, then you go to soft toss, then you go to front, you know, soft BP, and then you start speeding the pitch up. That's how you improve that. So again, I want that to be on your mind as you're practicing. Okay. You got a really good line there on the that's a kite tail off the end of your bat, and I really like the way that's turned out. So you're a-okay in that regard. You're on a vertical plane, not a horizontal plane. And there's no extra wiggle or anything in there. So again, you've got mechanically a pretty sound swing. Now it's just a matter of sharpening it, perfecting it, strengthening it, getting a level of concentration of where contact is, keeping the bat head behind the hands to get proper leg and whip and as much exit velocity as you can on the ball. so that completes your lesson. I'm going to attach your raw hitting video. I just want you to watch it and get an idea of what I'm talking about in your contact there and see how you're attacking different pitch locations. And I'm also going to attach your pitching. I want you to keep a close eye on your different points in sequence, and I'm going to put you up against Abram. I know that you're not getting maximum velocity, and I think that has to do a lot with maybe your wrist and things of that nature. We're going to study that further as practice season progresses here. But I want you to watch Abram. Abram has no wasted movement. Everything he does is essential movement that's getting him as much velocity as he can on the ball. So pay close attention to that. And I'll put your hitting in there, and we're all done, bud. Whoops, I lied. I wanted to show you this rear view here of yourself just so you have knowledge of what you look like here. Here you're attacking a high outside pitch. You can see that if you had a laser coming off the knob of your bat, that you're dissecting the ball with it. You can see that you got a perpendicular angle there. You're sending the ball the opposite direction at the right trajectory. So that's all good. Again, you've shown me that you can attack pitches in the zone in all phases of the zone well. Now it's just a matter of getting stronger and more consistent and cutting down on your time to impact as you move forward. Okay. And here comes your pitching. So the one place that I really need you to concentrate on your pitching is I know you don't like the full windup, but that is a must. That's not something I'm willing to compromise on. I really, really want you to start practicing and get comfortable with that, but you can see how far you step back there. Okay. So watch Abram here. He does not step too far back and get too much momentum going rearward. So we've probably talked about it a minimum of 10 times. So I know we've talked about the subject, and I know it's not your most comfortable part of pitching is your windup, but it's essential that you get it that way. But you can see his minimal movement. He doesn't come too far back. He just pivots back and turns the right foot. Okay. So I need you to practice that as much as you can. Okay. And you can see his leg kick. It's just simply left knee to right shoulder in pretty much a straight fashion. It's just like Mitch Haniger's leg kick, except he goes further because he's pitching, obviously, and not hitting. And Abram does, he gets a lot of his power and torque from moving the leg more than kicking his hip out. Again, there's two styles of doing that. A guy's either going to be heavy into his hip action like Aroldis Chapman, or he's going to do what Justin Verlander does, which is what Abram's doing, is he's getting a lot of that power and momentum from how he uses his leg. Okay. So if we look at you right here, you're coming straight up, but then you just get a little more twist as you're throwing your hips out. What I'd like you to do is try not to get that move right there, that little extra inward movement. I want you to learn to come straight up, and as you kick your butt out, try to hold that leg upward just a hair longer. Okay? So you can get the feel for that on flat ground. You don't need a mound. So I like this position. You don't have the ball laid back too far. You can see how Abram is right here. He doesn't bring the ball out too far and change that angle. I think a lot of pitchers lose velocity when they get the ball back here and the elbow stays in there. So I like what you're doing there, but just take a look again at Abram. Okay, that looks pretty good there. That looks pretty good there. I do want to note, though, that if you look at Abram's torso, you're not bad here, but you can see the difference in, remember how I've always told you you throw your torso forward a little bit and it doesn't give you as good as anchor to rotate around with your arm? You see how he's holding his chest back and aiming it and presenting it directly to the catcher? Okay, see that's kind of what I'm talking about. You can see your torso is a little bit further ahead. It should stay back and provide an anchor for all of, your arm and shoulder and elbow and hand and everything to come around. So that's exactly what I'm talking about there. You're just a little bit more forward there, which means you're not getting as much anchor, and it takes away from your velocity a little bit. And then the last thing, you got that little thing with your wrist. We've talked about that a million times. Again, I don't know if it's a huge deal or a big deal, but I do think it has a little bit to do with your velocity. Okay. But all in all, you know, you've come a long way with your pitching. So I really like the way that's kind of coming over the top right there. You're doing that really well. Your extension is really good. Okay, that tells me that you're sending your energy right at the plate, right at the catcher's glove. Okay, so I'm gonna put all your video in there. You can watch it, and then we'll talk about this the next time we meet up, bud.
Okay, ready? So I'm going to come back, you load, then I'm going. Kyle, can I get you in here next, bro? Okay, just get loose. Did that go right by my ear? Did it? Okay, you're good. Ronnie, come on over. inside. Okay, you better not foul off one into my camera, bro.
Sawyer, you better not. Me and Angela will disown you and just go to Sonic Fire. Anything you would do. Oh boy.
Excellent play by Matt Chapman.
Watch this kid at third base. You're going to like it.
Lunging to the backhand side, feels the ball.
He makes a running catch that tumbles into the dugout.
Wow, Matt Chapman really picking at third base. Let's find out how he gets it done.
Matt, take us through your routine when you come out here getting ready for a game on a daily basis.
Shift is on, and he swings and squirts one on the right side. Nice diving play to his right by Chapman. Cross the diamond in time.
A lot of people don't feel ready without their routines, and defensively I think that my routine is something that I definitely take pride in. So usually I start off with just, really focusing on my hands at the beginning, just on your knees, whether you're on the side or taking it from the coach head on. Just working forehand, backhand from your knees, really just working on seeing the ball into your glove and taking the legs out of it and just trying to simplify it, make it as easy as possible, kind of just a warm-up as well. This is what it looks like to field a ground ball. So here, boom, and just really stay in my legs when I'm coming across. I think that when people make a lot of throwing errors is when they come up and their throws tend to sail. So I really have to focus on staying in my leg and keeping my momentum going towards first.
2-0. And that's grounded left side. Sliding stop going to his left by the third baseman. Chapman gets up and throws out Bregman. Nice job by Matt Chapman. Well regarded defensively at third.
What about the backhand?
Here, and on the backhand, I like to kind of have my foot as like the timing mechanism on that backhand to help myself remind to stay through it. So on a backhand, it would be boom, boom, come across the first.
One of the things I just noticed, you just buried your head where the ball was. So the ball's here, and your head was right down on it. Is that one of the things you focus on?
For sure. I think that any time that you're trying to make a play, especially one-handed, the closer you can get your face to the action and stay in there, you're going to be able to give yourself the best chance you can.
Pitch in, swung on, bounce, back at third, fair. Chapman's got it, long throw on the money, and a dazzling play by Matt Chapman.
A lot of it comes natural. I feel like defense for me is the most natural. I feel a lot more comfortable out here than I do in the box. Not to say I don't feel comfortable there, but just out here, everything seems natural. It seems reactionary. It's like I don't really have to think about it.
I love it. Do you ever work on diving plays?
I do, but I try to limit a lot of the diving plays because I feel like I dive after everything in the games. That one's kind of just go for it.
The one strike pitch and on the ground sharply. Diving stop behind the bag at third. Chapman is second one. On the first two. Double play.
Last thing, one piece of advice that you would give to a young infielder at home.
is don't take, you know, all the little things and fundamentals for granted, for sure. It might get boring, but it's a lot of the stuff that, you know, we still work on every day. I think that being in a good ready position, you know, working with 2 hands to the baseball and seeing that ball into your glove, you know, all those things are not to be taken lightly, and just have fun. Go for it.